Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the world of business communication. Specifically, we're focusing on how you can sound more confident, clearer in those high-stakes professional settings.
Right.
We're talking about essential English phrases for things like sales strategies, making suggestions, and handling the responses you get back.
Mm-hmm.
Think of this as, well, your practical guide to really elevating your business English.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've distilled some critical insights from some really excellent resources.
Yeah.
Similar to the kind of practical real-world examples you might find on channels like MILA and Leo English. They're great at breaking down this kind of nuanced business communication.
Oh, right, for clarity and confidence.
Precisely. Our goal here is to give you real English, the stuff native speakers actually use, so you gain the knowledge quickly, but also, thoroughly, understanding not just what to say, but also why you're saying it and when.
That's the mission. Okay, so to do that, let's unpack a specific scenario. Let's imagine a sales meeting. We'll kind of listen in, pick out the really crucial phrases, and then we'll break down exactly what they mean, how they're used, and maybe more importantly, the underlying implications.
Yeah, that's key.
Because this is where it gets really interesting. It's definitely more than just definitions. It's about communicating strategically.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, picture this. You're in the room. It's a high-stakes sales meeting. The atmosphere is, well, pretty tense.
Mm-hmm.
The manager, let's call him Clark, he leans forward and he's demanding concrete solutions.
Right. The pressure's on.
Exactly. He looks right at the team and asks, how do you plan to drive sales?
Okay. That phrase, drive sales, it's absolutely fundamental in business, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just, selling a few more things. It implies a proactive effort, often quite aggressive, to increase revenue or maybe market share.
So it's active.
Very active. When a manager asks that, they want strategies that are going to directly boost the bottom line, not just keep things ticking over.
They want results.
They want measurable growth. It's a push for something specific.
Okay, so Roger, one of the team members, probably feeling that pressure, he jumps in with an idea. He says, well, we're the most expensive in the market. Maybe we need to lower our prices to match the competitors.
Match the competitors.
Yeah.
Okay. That means aligning your product or your price or maybe your service quality with what your rivals are offering.
Leveling the playing field?
Sort of. Often it's to neutralize a competitor's advantage or maybe compete directly on one specific thing, like price in Roger's case. But, it's a bit of a double-edged sword.
How so?
Well, while it might help you hold on to market share, it can also lead to this kind of race to the bottom on price. It can commoditize what you offer.
Ah, I see. So Roger's suggestion immediately positions them defensively.
Exactly. Focusing on price, not necessarily on the value they bring.
Right. And Clark, the manager, well, he makes that pretty clear with his response. It's immediate, quite sharp. He says, lower our prices, not very creative, it'll never fly with Swan.
Oof. Yeah, it'll never fly. That is a powerful phrase, even if it's informal. It basically signals that the idea is absolutely unviable. It's a flat-out rejection.
So not just no, but absolutely no way.
Exactly. It communicates that the suggestion is impractical, or it won't get approved, or it's just, doomed to fail. Especially given the context, with Swan. We can guess Swan is someone important, a senior decision maker, or maybe the CEO.
Right, so Swan wouldn't approve?
That's the implication.
Yeah.
It shuts down the discussion really quickly, very definitively. It'll never fly. A strong one.
So for Roger's suggestion, it's not just dismissed, it's, like you said, shot down completely.
Utterly.
Clark sees it as a non-starter, especially with Mr. Swan potentially in the picture. That sets a pretty discouraging tone, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And the language Clark uses there.
Yeah.
It's not just about rejecting the idea. It can feel like rejecting the person who suggested it, saying, not very creative, and then hitting them with, it'll never fly. That can really stifle future ideas from the team.
Yeah, people might be afraid to speak up next time.
Exactly. It impacts the psychological safety in that room.
Okay, so then Natalie, maybe sensing that mood, she chimes in, tries a different angle. She says, perhaps a promotion, maybe a 2-for-1 offer or something like that.
Right, promotion. And here, this is key. In a business context like this, promotion almost always means a marketing strategy.
Not moving up in the company.
No. Not a job promotion. This is about a special offer. Something designed to stimulate demand, attract new customers. A sales promotion.
Like the 2-for-1 offer she mentioned.
Precisely. That's a classic sales promotion. You use it when you want to boost immediate sales volume, maybe clear out some inventory. It's a common tactic for a quick surge. So promotion, think marketing here.
Got it. But the manager, Clark, he initially dismisses this too. He says, bad idea.
Right. Consistent, at least.
But then the CEO, Mr. Swan, actually walks into the room, and suddenly Natalie's 2-for-1 promotion.
So suddenly it's hailed as a brilliant idea.
It's quite the turnaround, isn't it?
It is a remarkable shift. And it really illustrates something critical about business communication. Context and audience matter hugely.
The idea itself didn't change.
Not at all. But the audience did. Clark's perception was, well, completely flipped by Swan's presence. It just highlights how power dynamics can instantly reframe how an idea is valued.
So Swan's approval made it a good idea in Clark's eyes.
Seems like it. It shows how a senior leader's endorsement can instantly legitimize something, even if it was just dismissed moments before. Speaks volumes about, workplace politics and how ideas actually gain traction.
Wow. Okay, that sales meeting gave us a really fascinating glimpse into some powerful phrases.
Definitely.
Now, let's take a closer look at these. Really understand their implications beyond just the basic meaning. This is essential stuff for anyone serious about mastering business English.
Agreed.
Let's start with match the competitors. We heard Roger suggest lowering prices to, well, match the competitors. What's the strategic thinking behind using that phrase?
Okay, so when you talk about wanting to match the competitors, you're usually aiming for what's called competitive parity.
Parity, like being equal?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Specifically in terms of price or product features, maybe service levels. It's often a reactive strategy, designed to stop customers leaving or prevent losing market share by offering something comparable to what your rivals have.
Okay. Can you give an example?
Sure. A company might say something like, we need to analyze our pricing structure to ensure we can match the competitors on our key product lines, especially if there's a new player in the market.
Right.
Or maybe in services, our customer support aims not just to match the competitors, but actually exceed their response times.
So it's less about leading the way and more about keeping up, securing your spot.
Often, yes. It can be a defensive move. Match the competitors, match the competitors. It's about holding your ground.
That makes perfect sense. So understanding where you stand relative to others. Now, Roger also mentioned in the market. He said, we're the most expensive in the market. How does that phrase frame the competitive landscape for us?
In the market. Yeah, that phrase defines the specific arena you're competing in. It means within the entire industry or among all the available products and services that are direct alternatives to yours.
So it sets the boundaries.
Exactly. It lets you position your own offering. For example, a tech company might claim, our new AI software offers the most robust security features in the market. They're asserting a unique selling point within that defined space.
Okay.
Or conversely, a startup might have to acknowledge, well, while we're new in the market, our disruptive technology will quickly gain traction, like the canvas,
Yeah.
canvas you paint your competitive strategy on. In the market, it defines where you play.
Got it. And then, of course, there was Clark's very blunt dismissal. It'll never fly. This isn't just a simple no, is it? What's the real weight behind that phrase?
No, it's much heavier than just, no, it'll never fly. It's a strong idiom. Informal, yes, but widely understood. It signals an idea is completely unworkable.
Unworkable how?
That could be practical reasons, like lack of resources, or maybe it'll face insurmountable opposition, perhaps politically within the company. It's not just predicting failure. It's like a categorical rejection.
So you wouldn't use it lightly?
Definitely not. You'd use it cautiously, perhaps when an idea is genuinely, way off base, like proposing a major acquisition right after a stock market crash. That will never fly with the board.
Right. Clearly impractical.
Or the concept of, all-inclusive luxury vacations to Mars. Exciting, maybe. But that likely will never fly in this economic climate.
Probably not.
So it'll never fly. It'll never fly. It conveys this sense of finality. Use it when you're really certain an idea just has no chance. But be aware, it can also be quite disheartening for the person who proposed the idea.
Yeah, definitely something to handle with care. Okay, moving beyond those specific meanings, let's talk about some phrases that help you sound, well, more natural, more fluent, like a native speaker would actually talk. We call these fluency builders.
Good idea. Those little things make a big difference.
Right. So when Mr. Swan walked in, the dialogue used the phrase, the CEO will be here any minute. Why is that more natural than just saying, the CEO will arrive soon?
Be here any minute.
Yeah.
It's very common, very natural. It expresses imminent arrival, something about to happen very, very soon.
So it feels more immediate.
Exactly. It conveys immediacy and maybe a slight sense of urgency, but without sounding overly formal or stiff. It's concise, and you hear it all the time in both casual chats and business settings.
Okay.
For example, if you're finishing up a meeting, you might say, okay, let's quickly finalize these points. The next client will be here any minute.
Gotcha. Or maybe don't worry about that report. It'll be ready any minute.
Precisely. Be here any minute. Be here any minute. It just paints a more vivid picture of something about to happen right away.
Makes sense. We also heard the team mention they were considering a 2-for-1 offer. Now, that feels more professional than just saying thinking about something. How does using to consider elevate your language?
Yeah, to consider definitely sounds more professional. It signifies a more deliberate, thoughtful evaluation process compared to just casually thinking about something.
So it implies more weight.
It does. It implies you're weighing the pros and cons, you're examining different possibilities, you're taking the matter seriously. In business, it suggests due diligence.
Right.
So instead of we're thinking about a new sales strategy, a more professional approach is we need to consider all the implications of a new sales strategy before we present it.
Or maybe in a negotiation.
Perfect example. Have you considered our counterproposal? It adds that weight, that professionalism to your decision-making process or your suggestions. To consider. It shows careful thought.
Excellent point. And finally, the CEO called Natalie's promotion idea a brilliant idea. Now, we often use great, which is fine, but brilliant just seems to add so much more punch, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Brilliant goes way beyond just great or good. It implies something exceptional, really insightful, maybe highly intelligent.
So it's a stronger positive.
Much stronger. It's a powerful positive descriptor. You might hear it more often in British English, perhaps, but it's perfectly understood and very impactful in global business settings, too.
So it really makes the praise stand out.
Exactly. Using brilliant conveys genuine enthusiasm and strong approval for an idea that really stands out from the crowd. Instead of a milder, that's a great marketing plan, try, that's a brilliant marketing plan. It really addresses all our core challenges.
Okay.
Brilliant. It emphasizes that the idea isn't just good, it's truly outstanding, well conceived.
You know, the sales meeting dialogue, while it's given us some really crucial language insights, it also offers a pretty interesting lesson about leadership and communication styles, doesn't it?
It really does. Clark, the manager in our scenario, he kind of exemplifies a managerial style that can be deeply detrimental.
Detrimental how?
Well, his immediate dismissals,
Yeah.
Using phrases like not very creative or bad idea, at least before his boss shows up, that fundamentally discourages initiative. It crushes creativity.
It's not just about being impolite.
No, it goes deeper. It directly impacts the team's willingness to innovate, to speak up, to offer potentially risky ideas.
It actually reminds me so much of my very first boss. He was the complete opposite of Clark.
Oh, yeah.
Just incredible. He had this way of making everyone feel seen, feel valued. He knew everyone's name, something about their families, and he encouraged every single idea, even the ones that were, half-baked.
That's rare.
He'd say something like, that's an interesting start. How might we evolve that into something truly impactful in the market? He used that phrase.
Wow.
And it just made me and everyone else want to work incredibly hard for the company. You felt you could contribute your best work.
That is a perfect contrast. Clark's communication style fosters fear. It limits divergent thinking. He's basically telling people not to try, that their ideas will never fly.
Right.
An encouraging boss, like the one you described, cultivates that sense of psychological safety. They frame feedback constructively. They invite the team to refine ideas, not just shut them down.
And that must impact results.
Absolutely. It directly impacts the team's ability to drive sales creatively and effectively. If your team feels safe enough to experiment, maybe even to fail sometimes without harsh judgment,
They're more likely to innovate.
far more likely to come up with those truly brilliant solutions that actually propel the business forward.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how the specific language a leader chooses can either unlock potential or just completely stifle it. Clark's language was all about control, judgment. Your first boss's language sounds like it was about collaboration, growth.
Exactly. The same words, like we saw with the promotion idea, can have wildly different impacts depending on the intent behind them and, frankly, the delivery. The manager's role isn't just to direct people. It's to inspire them. By using language that encourages open discussion, that genuinely considers diverse viewpoints and values input.
You get more out of the team.
A leader can transform a reluctant team into a highly motivated, high-performing unit, one that's ready to tackle challenges and innovate. It turns a potentially bad idea into a learning opportunity, or maybe just the starting point for something truly brilliant.
Wow. We've certainly covered a lot today, haven't we?
We have indeed.
The sharp edges of sales meeting language like drive sales and that definitive "it'll never fly" to the nuances of sounding more natural with phrases like "be here any minute" and that really impactful "brilliant."
Yeah.
Remember, really understanding these phrases and, crucially, their proper context can significantly enhance your professional communication. It makes you not just understood, but, well, truly effective.
Absolutely. The ability to make precise suggestions, respond effectively, navigate those competitive discussions using this kind of language. It's invaluable in any business environment. It's really about more than just vocabulary. It's about strategic communication.
So keep practicing these phrases. Listen for them in your own interactions, maybe in meetings or even on calls. Don't be afraid to try them out.
Pay attention to how native speakers use them, too, the subtle messages they convey.
Definitely. And as a final provocative thought for you to mull over until our next deep dive,
Okay.
consider this. How might different leadership styles, like the contrast between Clark and that encouraging boss we talked about, influence not just the immediate sales figures, but also a company's long-term capacity? Their ability to innovate and adapt effectively in the market itself, especially when they face new or unexpected challenges.
That's a deep one. How leadership impacts adaptability.
Something to consider as you navigate your own professional journey.